What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome back to another video. So I'm back with another reaction. Now, this is a 28-year-old virgin who says she hasn't been in a relationship for 12 and a half years. And basically, she's saying she doesn't think that she'll, be able to find a man because of her standards. So I want to hear what she has to say and why she thinks that. And I definitely want to get your thoughts as well on, what you think about this video. So make sure you chime in the comments below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you like the content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It is free to subscribe, share it, and like the video, and turn on that notification bell. So we're going to hop into the video. Y'all definitely let me know what y'all think about this. Let's get into the video, and then I'll give my thoughts, and y'all make sure y'all chime in as well. Here we go.
I have been single for 12 and a half years. I'm very open about that on this page. I am a 28-year-old virgin. My singlehood, because it's ghetto sometimes, is in part due to my own choices and in part due to my circumstances. While I have experienced a lot of loneliness, yes, I have also experienced tremendous peace. However, the amount of loneliness that I've experienced and the moments of sadness and confusion and the questions that I have about why I'm still alone after all this time just hasn't quite made me desperate enough to accept what I don't want. One, because that's not beneficial to me. Two, because that is not fair or beneficial to the person that I would be settling for.
Now, the only thing I want to chime in really quickly about, why is it that when women speak about not being in a relationship, it means that they're settling? Could it be that the person that you might be looking for would be settling for you? I would love to know, what are the circumstances as to why she's single? A lot of women automatically believe that they're single because their standards are too high and that men just can't measure up to the standards. What if it's just that the men don't want to measure up to your standards, and maybe he's just quite frankly not attracted to you? Maybe it has nothing to do with your standards, but maybe it has something to do with other factors that will play into men not taking you seriously for committed relationships. There's a few things that men speak on that would give you an indication as to what they're looking for in a relationship. They want fit women. They want cooperative women. A lot of them want beautiful women. They want women who are submissive. They've clearly stated these things. A group of qualities that they want in a woman. They don't want a woman who's cooperative and who would be willing to work with them. Somebody who's fit in the gym, who's not letting themselves go. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of factors that play into why she could be single at 28, because she's a virgin. So she hasn't thrown her body all over the place. So that's one redeeming characteristic, but that isn't the only one. So you have to start looking at yourself. Women all automatically go to their standards and they don't think about the standards of the men, because at the end of the day, the men are the ones who have to pick you. So if they're not picking you, then maybe there's something lacking in the qualities that they're looking for from you. Just saying. Let's continue.
On the other end, circumstance. Plenty. And I want to just make that clear. I know y'all might look at me and think, oh, 28, that's a hard 28, or you're ugly, or you're fat, or you're this. I've gotten plenty of it. You may not find me attractive, but there have been plenty of men in 12 and a half years to approach me with interest. So let's make it clear. It's not that I haven't had the opportunity, but those men, none of those men have been men that I too was interested in. And again, I don't believe that it is fair or beneficial or even kind to be with someone that I do not truly want to be with. That will hurt them in the long run. Now look, you tell people that you're a 28-year-old virgin, they think you're lying. They think you're asexual. They think all these things. I would very much love to experience romance and love and companionship. When I was 11 years old and I decided to make an intentional decision to walk out a life of abstinence until marriage, it was one out of what I believe is obedience to God. When I read the Bible that I do believe in, I believe that God created sex for the confines of marriage. So I wanted to do it his way. But in addition to that, at 11 years old, I was also made certain guarantees by the elders and the older people in my life that, hey, if you take this path, you will get this reward. So I walked out the early years of my abstinence with the expectation that I would get married. Okay? Here I am at 28 and I am unmarried.
Well, and I think that's where sometimes the church fail people, because it's not just that. It's not that, oh, you just abstain. And once again, mad respect to her following her beliefs and sticking to it, because in this day and age, it is absolute. You don't find too many women who are virgins. So when you find women that are virgins, to me, that's a great thing. And women who are actually abstaining until marriage, I think that is commendable. But also you have to learn other things too, that will relate to marriage and men and what type of man you're looking for. And I'm assuming she's looking for a God-fearing man if she's following the Bible. A man who's gonna, be a great husband and all of those things. But there are still some things you have to learn as a woman as to what you need to do to get for that man to find you, because in the Bible it says how's it go, the man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing, or something like that. So you have to do some things as well. You just don't, and I don't know what she's doing, and I'm not even trying to come for her, because I think I'm just saying in general there are things that you have to do. You just don't, and I don't know if this is what she's doing, but just in general, you don't just sit back and do nothing, because you still have to, there are certain things you have to learn and prepare for if you want to be somebody's wife. There are things, and these are a lot of things that we're not taught growing up. Most of us are not taught how to be a wife. We're not taught about relationships and what our part should be in a relationship and what we should be doing. Even the so-called Christians who claim to be Christians in our families and stuff don't teach us about relationships and what it is to be a wife, and they don't train us up in the way that we should go so that we could be a good wife to a man. A lot of them don't even teach us that. So there are things that you should prepare for. You need to start positioning yourself for your husband to find you. There are things that you have to do as well. You don't just sit back and say, oh, let him find me and that's it. No, you have to make sure that you are doing things as well so that you can get your husband. You know what I mean? And that's something, once again, we're not taught. Let's continue.
Here I am at 28 with no prospects. Here I am at 28, if I can be truthful and say I am fearful to date, because I am afraid that I may actually meet a man that I genuinely would like to give my heart and soul and body to at some point, and he will not love me enough to do the same. What I don't understand is how people can misconstrue and misunderstand such a simple concept. Yes, people are alone by choice. But I also want us to consider the fact that maybe if they felt that they had a different choice, they would make the other choice. There are good men out there. I know that. I've met them. There are some really awful men out there. Very scary, very creepy, very disrespectful. I've met them. I'm not here to talk about ratios or anything like that. But my point being, yes, a good man is the minimum, the basic, so on and so forth. Cool. But we're all, most of us, are decent human beings. That's here.
Well, see, my thing is, if you've met good men, what was the problem with those men? What type of man are you looking for? Because I always say this, and I do agree, and honestly, I hear Anton say this as well, that most women have met their person. I believe that. I agree with that. I think a lot of women have met the person that would have been a good husband, good father, all of that, but they passed them up looking for something more. They weren't quite ready for that man. And so you missed out on your opportunity, and then he ends up going marry somebody else and creating that family life with somebody else. And a lot of these women end up being single, or, staying single, going from relationship to relationship to relationship. So I think when we talk about men, if you've met good men, what was it about the good men that you say were good men that didn't do it for you? Because I really do think people are looking for this special person, this special moment or something that's going to do it for them and make them feel a certain way. And a lot of times they never really get that. And so a lot of times you miss out on something that could have been good, because once again, I say with relationships, they're not perfect. When you marry a man, he's not perfect. The woman is not perfect either. But it's two people that, come together, that hopefully y'all like each other and you want to be together and you have same goals, you have things in common, and you build up on that. You're not going to find somebody that's going to check off every little box. This is what I tell a lot of women. Like, if you're looking for this certain spark and this certain thing, you may not ever find that. And this is where you find a lot of women single up into their 40s, 50s, and 60s, still saying they will not settle, when you have come across the guy that should have been your husband, but you weren't ready for him. And you didn't feel these certain things that people tell you, that you have to feel in order to know the vibes and all of that. And a lot of times you miss out on a good guy thinking about vibes, as opposed to thinking about growing and building with that person and creating a life together. So I don't know, because my thing is, if you've come across good men, what was the problem with those men? That's all I'm saying. Let's continue.
Wanting something above here is not wrong. So just because I have met good men and didn't want to be with them doesn't make me the bad guy. I think that anything in life, whether a job, whether the kind of body that you want, the kind of home that you want, the kind of, experiences that you want to curate, I think you can have whatever you like. Ain't that what T.I. said? And so I don't understand why, when men and women have certain standards, I'm not talking about preferences, must be light skin, must be dark skin, must be 6'5", must be 160. But I'm talking about standards. There is nothing wrong with having standards, and there's nothing wrong with being afraid that you may not get that. And there's nothing wrong with coming to the resolve that if you do not find someone who meets your standards, that you would rather stay by yourself.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having standards, but you got to understand that if you have standards, the man that you're looking for has standards as well. And it could just be that you don't measure up to the standards of the man that you want. See, the man who has those higher standards that you're looking for is going to require higher standards for you. And she mentioned herself about her looks. I think she's a decent looking woman, but she looks a little bit thicker. So, and the way she's presenting herself, it could be something that doesn't meet up to the standards of the type of man that she's looking for. And yeah, there's nothing wrong. If you don't think that you could find the type of guy that meets your standards, and if you're okay with being single, cool. I think, look, whatever it is you want, you can't have whatever you like if the other person don't like you. See, that's a myth. You can't have any man that you want, because if that's the case, you would already have the man. I'm pretty sure that's what it's. So you can't have whatever you like if what you like don't like you back. So she said she come across men that were good men, but their standards are not quite where she want them to be. So that's not what she wants. They were good men, but they didn't meet her standards. This is what we hear all the time. And so her standards are a bit higher. But once again, the man who has the higher standards, that she wants is going to have higher standards for her. And that's probably why she is still single. And she can't bank on the fact that she's a virgin, which is, I think, is a plus, and that's admirable, and that's a great thing for sure, because too many women are ran through these days. Baby, once again, kudos to her for keeping herself sacred. You can't do nothing but respect that. But at the same time, other qualities about her is probably why she's single, or other areas is where she's lacking for the type of man that she wants. So you got to understand, look, to whom much is given, much is required, right? So the more you want, the more you have to do. So if you want more, you got to do more. So that means if you want above average, you have to be above average. You have to know what the above average or the higher quality man that you're looking for, you have to know what it is that he's looking for in a woman. You just can't assume that you are enough, and that you are enough, and he's just going to want you the way you are. So that's why you find, and we go back to speaking on women who are educated, women who have certain higher standards for a man, they're usually single because they don't want to settle, and the men that they're going for don't want to settle for them. They don't want to see themselves as the one that the man is rejecting. You see what I'm saying? So most guys who have a little bit more standards, they're looking for more of a fit, friendly woman. They want a woman who looks a certain way. They want more attractive women. That's just what it is. They want more fit women. They want women who are more cooperative. They want nice women. They want women who, it's all about a look for a lot of these men. They want what they want too. So if you want what you want and you can't get it and you won't settle, he want what he want and he won't choose you, then this is why we're going to have a whole bunch of single people out here. Because once again, what you want got to want you back. Your standards could be through the roof, but if the man that meets those standards look at you or look right past you, you can't get him. So it's not about you settling, because you ain't nothing. It's about the man not settling. Women always say they're not. No, it's the men who are not settling. But if you don't see yourself as a less desirable person, if you don't see yourself as the person that he's not settling for, then you're not going to make any changes. You're going to just take me as I am. I don't have to do anything because I'm the prize. You know what I mean? This is why a lot of women think they're the prize, but when they don't get picked by the type of men that they want, they feel I'm single by choice. No, you're single by your choices, because you don't want to do anything that would qualify you or allow the man that you want to see you. He don't see you. The man with the qualities you want don't see you, because he has qualities and standards as well. You got to work on yourself. You can't just sit back and do nothing, but you want more from a man. That's why a lot of women are by themselves, because they don't feel they have to do anything for a man. So listen, what do you guys think about the video? Make sure you chime in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about what she had to say? Do you think she could do more in order to attract the man she want? What's up? Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Comment, like, subscribe. Y'all know what it is. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.